where we talk about how to start, grow, and sustain your business. Today, I have with me a very special guest, Jessica Myers. Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You guys have your notepads out, have your pen and paper ready, because this is going to be a show where you're going to want to be invested in the most literal sense ever. Jessica
Definitely.
is an author, she's an entrepreneur, she's a real estate investor, and I'm excited to have you on the show today to talk about all the amazing ventures that you're working on, because there's a lot of great things. There's a laundry list of amazing opportunities. So
yeah, it's exciting. It's amazing what you can accomplish when you hold your head down and just keep working.
Literally, literally. So if you could tell us about yourself and the businesses that you own.
So my name is Jessica Myers. As she said, I'm a real estate developer and entrepreneur. And more than anything, I like to call myself the deal maker, because I realized the common thread of everything that I did, from even when I was in middle school and elementary school, I used to take fingernail polish during recess and polish girls' nails for $1. Or I used to make keychains, back in middle school and sell them with people's names on them, personalized keychains.
Wow.
Or, I sold anything that I can find my hands on, I found opportunity in. And I just kept with that, went and worked in corporate a little bit to learn about sales and business development. And then now I was able to go on the journey of self-discovery and find real estate. Real estate is the thing that allowed me to own my time. So I knew I wanted to get involved in real estate. I knew I wanted to own my time, because the corporate world wasn't it for me.
Yeah.
I didn't have the fulfillment that I desired after being in corporate for 10 years at the young age of 27. Thankfully, I climbed the corporate ladder early, and it was just like, what next?
Yeah.
So by 2017, thankfully, I was able to find out about a concept called wholesaling. And I was able to finally quit my job and leave my job after doing enough wholesaling, which landed me into flipping and renovation, which ultimately led to development, which ultimately led to hotel ownership.
Wow.
And then now, we're working on building a resort in Exuma, Bahamas as well.
Yes.
So, as well as other developments literally around the world.
We're going to unpack all of that, because that was a great synopsis of everything that you have going on.
Yeah.
And I think what's very telling about what you just shared in terms of your start, you were an extremely ambitious, go-getter, driven type of person. You climbed the corporate ladder at 27, and you were like, okay, I'm sitting here at the top of the ceiling now, or else I feel like it. And now I'm like, okay, purpose is driven in other areas.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about that and making that transition, that start of your business, and where it was like the light bulb went off and it was like, you know what? There's a pivot. How did you get into that wholesaling place? And what was that like, that journey and that moment?
So that question is a bit twofold. For one, actually, when I was in CBS in New York at the Nick Cannon Morning Show, it was an amazing experience. And at 22, working and seeing all these, I remember we were waiting out in the hall to get a picture with Jay-Z, who was on tour with Trey Songz. But in the hallway with us was Nick Cannon. And he was like, y'all don't want a picture with me? You just trying to wait for Jay. So to be 22 and having a conversation with Nick Cannon about not wanting a picture with him, but waiting for a picture with Jay-Z, what kind of life is that at 22? Anything to my bank account. None of that added anything but the clout for the gram. And I was like, when I set out to make a difference, I was going to be making a difference, not just laughing and having a good time. And don't get me wrong, I had a good time. But it's about, making impact.
Yeah.
That's what I sought. And it wasn't until, you have these moments that you're like, oh, should I pay attention? But then it's not until you get these interrupting moments that really define it. And for me, it was even going from that moment, continue on, working in corporate America, and then getting my 5-year plaque. At the same time, someone was getting their 25-year plaque. And I was like, is this where I see myself in 25 years? Moving.
Yeah.
Because, corporate, I at least have a guaranteed check. With this, I didn't have any money saved up.
Yeah.
So that the thought of leaving my job didn't even make sense.
Yeah.
Until after receiving that plaque, and I realized, wait, if this isn't what I want the next 25 years to look like, I need to do something different.
Wow.
And so that's where I was like, I need to learn a new skill, because obviously the skill that I've gotten has got me this far at the top of where I can go. So until skill reset and repurpose, I'm only going to keep hitting a perceivable glass ceiling. And so that's where I had to look at what were my transferable skills.
Yeah.
So that's where I did find out. I went to this inspirational conference by Les Brown.
Yeah.
And that's where I found out about the concept of wholesaling. And wholesaling is the same thing I used to do as the candy lady, buy something for free way that you can get into real estate and learn and understand about the business.
Yeah.
And then as a wholesaler, you're set to find off-market properties and market them to investors to actually put the money behind it. Because you don't have to be the one with the money to transact or interact in a deal. And learning that, to me, was so key. Learning and see other people, how they were able to move with money, how they were able to leverage different things to get into these huge assets.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
I thought you had to have millions of dollars to do real estate. But I'm like, they're piecing this stuff together as I would.
Yeah.
So then I was like, well, let me piece stuff. I know how to find properties. Let me start piecing money together.
Yeah.
And that's what we were able to do. And then a girlfriend of mine was like, hey, what about if I invest? Okay. She invested $10,000 on the first project, $20,000 on the next project. Ultimately, her and her partner, about 70, invested over $100,000 with me, working on several ventures. And then I began to work and partner with other investors. And it was like, wow, like how can we keep this growing?
Yeah.
And ultimately, it led to me starting a hedge fund. And through that fund, that's where we work and empower through collaborative economics.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
The growth factor, there is no ceiling now.
Yep.
Where you're at today, there is no glass ceiling, and you can continuously provide impact to people's lifestyle. It's transformational at this point with the type of information that you've learned along this journey, to the point where now you can share that and educate others and say, hey, there's no glass ceiling over here. And by the way, if you want to start with wholesaling, it doesn't require you to use your own money.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I think what's key, and maybe sometimes I'm just way too observant, but when you were questioning yourself in that moment in corporate America, and it's like, well, is this really providing impact? You kept doing this. It was like you were thinking here, but you were also doing, to me, this is the alignment. Like, this is like, am I in alignment with my purpose? Am I really doing that something that, in my heart of hearts, I feel like this is really going to provide impact, not only in my life, but to the people around me? Can I take this back to my family and say, hey, we can eat with this?
Yeah. And you know what finally did it for me? Actually, when I was in corporate America and I had gone back home because I was working in New York. And so I'd come back home. And I finally just recently threw it away and had to let go of my filing cabinet, of my papers and things like that I wrote in high school. And I applied for a lot of scholarships. I wrote a lot of essays.
Yeah.
And I went back, and a lot of the essays used to ask, what do you see for yourself in 5 years? Remember those?
Yeah.
What do you see for the world? And I went back and read some of those papers of that young 14, 15, and 16-year-old girl. And I went back into those memories and was like, this is what I intended for my life. And it slapped me in the face, like at 22, are you heading in that direction?
Wow.
And those conversations of following the inner child. Because, you know, when you're an inner child, you see no limitations.
No,
like that's
not
how
at
a child will go walk in the middle of the street right now and not think twice, not even have any fear. You're like, are you crazy? No, they don't know. You know no bounds. So I'm so glad I did the journaling and all of that when I was in, my younger years, that the me that's heard a lot of no's can forget. And so tapping in with the relentless, the no bounds, the sky is truly the limit.
Yep.
Tapping back into that, tapping back into my ancestors who were my examples at the time, my aunt, my grandmother, tapping into their visions, understanding my grandmother was a literary scholar.
Wow.
And really tapping back into those roots of purpose and fulfillment, depthness that I enjoy now. And you experience it through real estate best.
Yeah.
But what I do is for the people.
Yeah.
And that's the part that really helped to set the fulfillment in my journey right now.
I love it. I love it. I felt that.
Yeah.
I felt that.
Oh, yeah.
So if you guys don't know, Jessica, we can go on and on about all the amazing things with this path that you selected and now have pioneered for so many others. She has been featured in Black Enterprise. She has been featured in just a number of publications, just outlining and really recognizing the success that you've had in such a, I guess to me, and maybe some other, maybe a short period of time, but the groundwork was always there. you know what I mean?
It's a 35-year overnight success.
Yes. The groundwork, you were, grooming yourself throughout this whole time and not even knowing this is what I was preparing myself for.
And that's why The Alchemist is one of my favorite books.
Oh my God, I love that.
That's why.
I cried at the
Yes,
end.
yes.
Oh my God, that's one of my favorite books.
But I'm living that in real life because so many things that swirl around me. Even now, some of the dreams and visions that I have, which expressing it to one of our mutual friends earlier. And that's why she's like, you need to talk to, I need to talk to you. And here I am talking to you. But that's what life gets you. It's like the dreams and the visions just get bigger.
Yeah.
I feel like we're heading to the desert storm where all of those things that I've been working on and the alchemist, just as his journey had gone.
Yes.
We're entering the desert storm. Like this is where the mastery of the years I spent working in television, where I'm thinking, oh, why am I here? Why am I in radio? Why am I in sales?
Yeah.
But now looking at the business acumen I've been able to attain, the communication skills that I've been able to develop.
Yeah.
So I'm not completely against corporate. I definitely feel like corporate has its role. It teaches you transferable skills that you can use to build your business,
Yeah.
but use it as a strategy,
Yeah.
as a way to get experience and launch that into whatever it is your heart and your desire leads you to do.
It sounds simple, but the work, the internal work that you have to do to actually get there is key.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not, like you said, an overnight success.
Yeah.
It's going to take some.
Because even one of the most perceivably best years of my life, in that we added 2 additional hotels to our portfolio. And also I was able to travel to Maui, Zanzibar, Kenya. We were going to Dubai, Jamaica, all in the same time. At the same time, I'm in the hospital with COVID. My mom is getting open heart surgery. At the same time, we lose
Oh my goodness.
my husband's brother. And, just business partnerships falling apart. It was a lot happening all at once. I was like, the highest of highs were met with the lowest of lows. And we had like a 6-figure loss on some things that we were working on.
Yeah.
So you have the highest of highs crumble with the lowest of lows. And all I can think in my head is just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming.
As simple as that, right? That's the mantra.
Just
that's
keep swimming.
That's the quote.
Just keep swimming.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Is love transactional?
What is it? It's so good when you loving somebody and somebody loves you back. You want that and somebody loves you back part.
What is love?
I feel like we just opened up the miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
Honey, what I think you need is a socket wrench.
I played JV basketball.
I'm sorry. I don't think it looks right.
This is good, and it's all good, baby.
Is it really all good?
If you love me enough to routinely test your handyman skills, not to mention the strength of your marriage, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/therightseat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
I'm gonna call my dad.
Well, look, you might not be popular, but my favorite character is Celestial because
One of the quotes that I wrote down in the book that kind of stood out to me was, "Love is the enemy of sound judgment."
She seemed like a very needy woman. And I can't even respect Andre, because how do you prey on your friend's wife while he's incarcerated? Like, I just can't get with that. And maybe I got too invested in the book, That's the point.
Yeah.
So as you've had this pivot, you've made your career pivot into more of the investment, real estate development space. As you were building yourself in this space, what are some of those challenges? You kind of said there's been ebbs and flows of both at the same time.
Yes.
Like getting that start, what were some of your challenges for those that are, might be interested in getting into this space? Maybe they're balancing both a 9-to-5 and trying to get into real estate. Like, what are some of those early challenges that our viewers can take away and say, hey, here are some of the challenges to expect, but this is how you can overcome?
I would say, what's the furthest thing you can see right now? What's the furthest thing your eyes can see right now that you can lay your eyes on?
This room, the
Yeah,
cameras,
this room.
yep.
Okay, so we're limited by the walls within this room.
Yep.
And a lot of times, your environment, you're limited by the furthest thing you can physically see.
Yeah.
And when I got started, I was very limited because my surroundings didn't show me much. So I had to get in bigger circles, the bigger, like, and it's so funny because even what I'm doing now, and I'm so excited that you're excited what I've done. But I was talking to somebody last night, and I mean, you might as well drop the penny on the floor to what I've done. Like you know, I'm so excited about, I'm so excited about a 10,000 square foot home that we're building for $3.4 million in Buckhead here in Atlanta.
Wow.
So excited, right? But he's like, oh yeah, you know, you're in development? Yeah, I should introduce you to my developer friend. He's building, you know, $135 million single family homes.
Oh.
70,000 square feet.
Talk about a humble pie.
I'm like, where have I been? But I realized, like, if the furthest that I can see, and I'm mimicking and building my empire off the furthest I can see, then I need to see more. I need to see more.
So
I need to be around people that have longer vision. And so when I got started, it was hard for me to see past where I was.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing of where I am right now. I can see a little bit further. My view is a little bit higher, and I can see further out. And the further out you can get your dreams to go, the greater the ride and the adventure to get there. But the problem is, I can tell you where I can find an $8 an hour job. I can tell you where I can find a $12 an hour job just by riding down the street.
Yep.
But how many of those same opportunities are for a $1,000 an hour job? $100 an hour. You don't really have in your environment with what you can see. So you have to place yourself in environments that you see greater than where you are.
You can see in front of you.
Yep.
And then I think you also mentioned just having the people, that environment. That you mentioned Les Brown, having that mentor, having masterminds, having groups of people who may be in the same trajectory as you, or maybe a little bit further than you, to have those conversations to say, you know, you could actually do it this way. So when it comes to those groups of people, how did you begin to network and find those people that you felt like, okay, this is the people that I can continue to grow with throughout this process?
Well, when I first got started, I was going to at least 4 networking events a week. How so? I have no clue, because I was also working 2 full-time jobs. So, but I knew that I needed to, I was like, I'm going to get in the room with somebody who's going to change my life.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to keep getting in rooms until that.
Yeah.
And it was about finding every networking event. And it was to a point where I ran out of real estate networking events, so I would go to other networking events.
Wow.
And I'm up here at a home buying seminar just to meet people in real estate, because they're probably looking to sell their home, get another home. I'm going to credit worthy, like anything that had anything, you know, if I get ketchup, you know, right by the ketchup aisle, they got mustard, right? Because it's an company thing. Because they know, oh, if you're just going to get ketchup, you're probably like, oh, I need relish and mustard too.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's just like, I always say, if you are the answer, as on Jeopardy, if Jessica Myers is the answer, who is the question? What is the question? Wherever that question is, that's where I need to go. That's where I need to be.
Kind of reverse engineer what you're looking for. Instead of looking for the answers, what's the actual question?
Because even my girlfriend, she, I always bring her up, Vegan by Shalonda. It's Vegan by Shalonda. And she does vegan foods. And I'm like, you know what? She goes to a lot of festivals, vegan festivals in the West End.
Okay. Yes.
They even have a hot wing festival.
Okay.
I was like, what about going and being the only vegan vendor at a hot wing festival? Like with your cauliflower, breaded cauliflower, and your, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like reverse engine, go to the place where we're like, you're the
I did
answer.
not expect this. Yep. Yep.
That's where you go. That's where you find the magic. And that's where I've been able to succeed a lot in real estate. Because I was going to a lot of networking events, I saw that I came across the same real estate network.
Yeah.
And I was like, let me go find and network with people outside of real estate. Tell them, just as Les Brown and other mentors have, it's a good way to own your time so that you can do what you really want.
Yeah.
And desire, like, let me go try that out. But let me go in an arena totally away from real estate. And that's how we've been able to have the success, is that our network expands even beyond what's inside of the real estate circle.
Yeah, yeah. That's a way to think outside of the box, essentially. I think a lot of people, if you find yourself in these same situations where you're like, I feel like everything that I'm doing, where I'm investing my time, where I'm putting my money is not necessarily working because I'm either running into the same people. I think the takeaway from what you just mentioned is think outside the box, because your answer is probably not going to be in those same rooms every single time. Think about where the questions are, like who, and kind of you'll find yourself, you're navigating closer to the answer that you were actually looking for.
Who you be the accompaniment for. If someone's the ketchup, don't try to go be, if they're the Heinz, don't go try to be the Kraft. You go and you be the complementary good. You go be the mustard.
Yeah.
In a ketchup mustard situation.
I love it. I love it. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna be ketchup and Heinz and all of it.
Exactly.
Find me some Heinz, find me some relish, and everybody, let's come together.
Exactly. That's why I coined it as the deal maker, because it's like, you can't tell me, well, aside from Tamla Mann, name one person in Kirk Franklin's choir aside from Tamla Mann.
Oh, nope.
Exactly. He has dozens and dozens of albums, and they're amazing and they're great. All these songs, but Kirk Franklin is consistent in all of them.
Yeah.
Now, he's had a song or two he's tried to sing. I don't know how you feel about that. But he is the mastermind that brings together these harmonious melodies.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel I do as the deal maker.
Yeah.
Where I have a development company and we're building and developing all across the globe.
Yeah.
Where I have, masterminds and other things like that we're able to do, and we bring it together to make harmonious music.
Yeah.
By bringing them all the elements together at play.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I think one of the most, I wouldn't even say one of the most recent stories, because it's been a little bit over a year now, because you have had a number of stories come after that, and it's just been phenomenal. But one of the stories that came out was that you were American women to co-own a major hotel.
Yes, yes, yes.
Can we just have a moment of silence for that? Like,
yeah,
ma'am.
Yeah. Well, it's about going to go seek opportunity. And that's what I mean by getting in bigger and bigger rooms. And until you realize the higher you go into the rooms, the less you're finding familiar faces. And the more you get into those rooms, it's like, oh, y'all weeded enough of us out. Okay.
It's like going against the current.
Exactly.
And then finding that particular space, people that would navigate you. And now you're one of the historic moments of hotel real estate development history.
Yes. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Oh, yeah. It's exciting. But honestly, we just held our head down and was like, let's get to work.
Yeah.
How do we make it happen?
Yeah.
That was the deal that everyone saw that was a yes, ignoring the multiple no's that came through. It's funny because we looked at a $20 million deal. We looked at a $14 million deal. We looked at a $6 million deal. We looked at a $500,000 deal.
Yeah.
We were looking at a $1.2 million deal.
Yeah.
Like, we looked at a lot of deals and tried to make them work, and that was the one that stuck.
Yeah.
And even now, I have a lot of plates spinning and things that I want to do. And it's just seeing which one hits and pops. And that's the part about being an entrepreneur and always thinking of opportunities. Like I mentioned, I got my start in real estate as a wholesaler.
Yeah.
So one of the things you identify is how to look at something of perceivable less value, how to find the value in it and make it greater.
Yeah.
And that's been the win in anything, and like applying that to people.
Yeah.
Like, I see talented people.
Yes.
Honestly, a lot of people on my team, outside of the ones that actually do the actual development, I don't have people that have real estate experience on my team. And I do that intentionally.
Wow.
From the look to the messaging and all of that stuff. I intentionally have non-real estate people so that I can talk to, because if you talk to me for enough times, I'm going to mention something, you'll be like, but the more people around me that I have that aren't in the space, they help me to keep it simplified.
I got you.
And they help to keep me grounded in, what it is that we're creating.
That's smart.
Yeah.
That's extremely smart. And I don't know if I've mentioned it, but that was an $8.3 million deal for the hotel. That let's just put that, let that be known. Let the record show.
Suma.
Nice.
The family's visit to the forest inspired a beautiful question. Mother, mother, am I a tree? You tell me to stand tall. You tell me to stay rooted. I think I am a tree. My child, of course you are. But what kind of tree will you be? The kind to hug or the kind to climb? Doesn't matter which you choose, so long as you choose to be a tree that's kind.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
Strength in his preaching to me is his ability to situate the listener.
Transition is hard. In fact, I dare say that it's one of the most difficult things to do. I mean, in a real sense,
It is so hard that in one it produces fear.
You pick an image that we all can relate to. What do you love most about your practice of African American preaching? Go.
My practice of African American preaching is steeped in Zora Neale Hurston's Negro expression. When we sing a song, it's sung a lot differently. When we do a dance, it's done a lot differently. When we preach a sermon, it's done a lot differently because we take it through our struggle and we adorn it and beautify it. And we've had to dare to find God and mine hope so that we might be able to know that the trouble that we go through doesn't last always.
Is anything, and I also saw your mission. You have a mission this year for this particular year to have 1,000 doors for people to actually be able to invest in.
Yes.
Can you share what's exciting? There's so many things, Jessica, that it's like hard for me to like pick just one. So you just you pick the candy right in front of me and tell me which one you want to share in terms of like what's coming up for you and your business.
Oh, so I am really excited. Really my big vision is to create memorable, magical moments that allow people to experience their highest self and their highest version of self to create and empower and be enlightened. That is the overall vision, right? But what does that look like? Through real estate, that looks like having, like I said, the vision needs to get bigger. But at the time, my vision is to have at least 12 locations around the globe that is inspirational, that leaders of leaders can go to take their time to retreat. In this time, we're fused with art, culture, music, dance of the place that we're visiting, right? And I'm looking to call it the Deal Maker Summit. The Deal Maker Summit. And we're actually launching in June, Juneteenth weekend in St. Simon's Island.
Oh, wow.
So that's one of the things where we'll spend a couple of days not only talking about self-development, really are the thing that's stopping you from doing the deal. So we address those deal blockers. Then we go into how to make investing a lifestyle by going through some of our projects that we actually have that are down in the Brunswick and Savannah area. So along with this summit, not only are we going to explore, travel, move around, but we're also going to look at investment opportunities and how to really make things happen in your life entrepreneurially and as a leader. So that's the next frontier of continuing to have those pods or those experiences in different locations around the world.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I like what you just mentioned in terms of being making investment a lifestyle. Like, so it doesn't feel so much as a chore, or it doesn't feel like business and like strictly business. And sometimes we have to be really stiff and have our contracts ready. All that comes with the territory, but it should feel like more of a lifestyle move, change, not an interruption, but more so, oh, okay, let's look at that property or let's look at that person that we invest in. It's
been a paradigm shift for me. I look at it now as a results-only work environment. Where I was working with somebody on a contract and they was like, well, wait, what if it goes over time? I was like, what is time? It's about the result that we deliver. As long as it takes us to do the result, that's as long as, we got to get and make sure this project is handled. It's a total different paradigm shift from a corporate structure about looking at results-only work environment. And so when I think about that, like I was just in Exuma, Bahamas. We had 25 investors that were on the exploration trip with us. And as we were on the yacht and I was partying away and they were like, why is she partying so hard? And I realized like I am going a little too on. But I realized I was so excited because I get to call this work. That here I am on the yacht in the middle of a Thursday on the yacht, jamming to my favorite songs in this beautiful dress that one of my designers made at London Couture.
Okay, come on, designer.
one of these dresses that he made for me, and I'm rocking out. And I'm like, this is work. This, with 25 investors in there having intense conversation of how they can grow their real estate portfolio.
I would have shed a tear. I'm a crybaby in moments like that. I would have shed a tear because I'm like, man, this is what I was made to do. This is what life should feel like, not just for me, but these 25 other people that are on this boat with me and everybody else that I want to be able to impact. And all of you that are watching this show and listening and feel encouraged, feel inspired. I think the main thing behind that is we can all be inspired by someone's words, motivations, lifestyles. But I think the main key point of that is just put action behind it, because the romanticizing of it is amazing because it encourages us and it motivates us. But you have to put the action behind everything you do and think outside the box, like we mentioned earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, Jessica, you get me excited because I'm like, oh my gosh, she's doing so many amazing things. And I just want people to know, like, it can be simple. You just have to think and change your mindset and the people and your environment around
Yeah,
you. So,
exactly. And it's so crazy. A lot of times because life is life, I don't stop lifing. Like I just said, in the midst of some of the greatest years of my life, being able to travel all around the world, dating things that left me homeless, left me carless, left a lot of things gone,
Yeah.
but just starting at the bottom and just being grateful.
Yeah.
Being grateful and staying in gratitude no matter what.
Yeah.
I actually had a friend call me and she's like, girl, how you doing? Especially after, our brother passed. And she was like, how you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm fine. I'm great. She's like, well, but, I know you just had the death and you just lost your house and all these other things that just happened. Like, what happened? I'm like, oh, I'm fine.
Yeah.
These things that happen to me don't get to determine who I get to be. Because at the end of the day, I have my health and I have my wealth and I can continue and rebuild. If I am who I say I am and I can do what I say I can do, then I can do it all over again.
I love it.
Now watch me work.
Now watch me work. Come on, somebody. Let's do some snaps for that one.
Yeah.
Well, Jessica, thank you. I could literally talk to you for hours about everything that you're doing, but I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Thank you for helping us all build wealth in a new way and think differently. Any final words to the audience that you want to share?
Oh, you know what I'm going to say.
You know.
Well, no, I can say that too. But actually, so there's a parable about the coffee, the carrot, and the egg.
Okay.
Have you heard that one?
No.
So a young girl, she was having a hard day at work, goes home. Ma, oh my God, I had a hard day. And every time I go through something, I get through it, and then something else happens.
Okay, yeah.
And so she took a pot of water, 3 pots of water, and put them on the eye of the stove. And in one pot, boiling water, she puts carrots. And when she put the carrots in, they were all hard, and then they put in boiling water, and they became soft. Then in another pot, she put an egg. Egg starts out all aqueous inside. It went through the water and came out. It was hard. Then in the third pot, she put coffee bean. And when you put that in the water, what do you think happened? It made coffee.
It made coffee, expands into
Exactly.
the water.
So the carrots harden under hard circumstances. The egg softened under hard circumstances. The egg hardened after hard circumstances. But the coffee changed its environment. So if anything I say, be the coffee in whatever it is you do, because you know you got it. Let's get it. Let's go.
I love it. Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys, and tune in for the next episode.